Well, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time it is, wherever you are tuning in. Thank you so much for joining me today for my next installment of Facebook Live. Happy Friday, everyone, if it is indeed Friday where you are, as it is here Friday morning in the East Coast of America, where I'm hailing from currently. So, once again, thank you for being here. I wouldn't be here without all of you watching, obviously. So, my deep gratitude for your time, your willingness to engage, your interest and curiosity in these practices. It's all really wonderful, really wonderful. So, thank you for that. So, if you've seen a couple of these already, you would know that I tend to do these Facebook Live sessions roughly for a month or 6 weeks or so, running up to an online meditation program that I'll be offering. And this is no different. I am gearing up for an online meditation immersive that I'll be offering beginning October 1st. And that's entitled Abiding in Kindness, Compassion, Joy, and Equanimity. This course runs for 12 weeks. Again, I mentioned it starts October 1st and runs to December 21st. And so it's offered in two different sections to cater to different needs and time zones and so forth. Section A meets on Tuesdays and Saturday mornings from 9 to 10:30 a.m. East Coast Standard Time. Section B runs on Tuesdays and Saturday evenings, 7:30 p.m. to 9 p.m. East Coast Standard Time. So we'll be spending 3 weeks looking at the qualities and practices that can help us uncover the kindness that's inherent in the human heart. Same with compassion, same with joy and equanimity. If you'd like to find out more about the program, please do feel free to visit my website, www.suchsweetthunder.org. So I've just had a busy morning. I was visiting with some family, and I've just arrived back in my apartment about a half an hour ago. I stayed out overnight at my brother's, and so I'm settling in with all of you real time. Generally, when I do these talks, I meditate for about half an hour or an hour beforehand. Not possible today, so I thought maybe we'd start the talk with a meditation, if that's okay with you all. And this will be a meditation on joy, the quality of joy, mudita, as it's known in Sanskrit or Pali. And in this meditation, we will be offering phrases of joy to our own heart. And I'll just speak through the phrases. And the phrases are, may I enjoy the activities of life itself. May I enjoy the activities of life itself. May I enjoy things just as they are. May I experience the world taking joy in all that I do. May I know what to do, whatever arises, is the last one. And that's such an interesting phrase. All four of them are really beautiful and very meaningful. And I'll go through. We'll see after the meditation, but we'll go through at least one of the phrases and really take it apart and dive into it and see the nourishment that we might be able to draw from this type of practice. Also, want to mention before we do the meditation that I am addressing both my computer screen, which is right in front of me, and Instagram, which is to the left of me. And so if you see me moving back and forth here, I'm trying to address two different virtual audiences at the same time. So just a little bit about the meditation, then I'll ring the bell. I'll invite us to connect to the present moment. We'll start with the experience of sounds, and then we'll explore some of the sensations of the body and breath. You might remember, or maybe it's helpful to remind ourselves that sensations of the body, the breath, the experience of sound, these are always present moment experiences. Right? And so, whether we're meditating, or we're at the grocery store, or we're raking leaves outside, or whatever it is we're doing, hanging out with friends, we notice our mind is ruminating into the future or the past. We can always reconnect to the present through the sensations of the body, the breath, or the sounds. And so, without any further ado, I think we can start to move into the meditation. And this can be done with any posture. If you do feel like you might fall asleep, you might wish to practice with your back off of a backrest, upright, or you can meditate with your eyes open. That could be very helpful. I don't know, a posture that allows us to stay alert is generally the preferred posture. Relaxed and wake at the same time. And so we'll do this for maybe 20 minutes or so. Yeah. So I'll ring the bell and I'll guide us in. So the invitation here is just to arrive into this present moment. And there are many ways of arriving and connecting to the present moment. And for this practice, let's start by noticing the sounds. And so we're invited here to simply listen to the soundtrack of this present moment. Listening with a type of care and delicateness. Reverence for the present moment. Gently touching the experience of sound, the way a hummingbird might land on a flower. Meeting the texture of each sound as it lands on the ear. And so you might notice quiet, subtle sounds, the sound of a bird song or crickets chirping perhaps, the gentle hum of an air conditioner or a fan. Or maybe there's a conversation unfolding nearby, music coming in from a neighbor or somebody mowing the lawn outside. If your environment is particularly quiet, you might notice the sound of stillness that's there. Perhaps noticing that ever unfolding process, the dance between sound and silence. So just resting, listening, perhaps noticing how sounds require no effort to be heard. They simply appear and they're known. And so we don't need to try to make anything happen. Just noticing what's there. And then in the next breath or two, the invitation is to bring awareness to the body. And simply noticing how the body is in this present moment. The areas of tension being held in the body, and equally noticing the areas of ease and comfort and warmth of the body. If you'd like, you could invite the areas that are tense in the body to relax and soften. Not trying to make anything happen or force anything. Just gently extending that soft invitation to relax. And while we're noticing the body, we might notice the sensations of clothing resting against the skin. And in addition to the clothing, noticing the temperature of the air against the unclothed parts of the body. And so we have a full view of the entire body from head to toe. And then if the mind is wandering, remember that's very normal. Just labeling that thinking, returning back to feeling. Just feeling, just hearing. So we don't need to try to wrestle with the thoughts or get rid of them. And simply notice and return. And then while we're here resting, connecting to the present moment, we can begin to offer these phrases of joy to our own heart. And if you find it helpful, you might actually place a hand or both hands over the heart, or you might place a hand on the heart and a hand on the belly, if that feels supportive. Sometimes that move of compassionate support with a hand can really help invite the phrases to land. May I enjoy the activities of life itself. May I enjoy the activities of life itself. May I enjoy things just as they are. Really visualizing or imagining what life would look and feel like if each phrase was completely reflective of our life circumstance. What would life be like? Enjoying things just as they are. May I experience the world taking joy in all that I do. experience the world taking joy in all that I do. May I know what to do, whatever arises. May I know what to do, whatever arises. And in the silence in between the phrases, just hold the phrase there, contemplating the phrase. And so there might be resistances to the phrases like doubt, very common. That'll never happen for me, or that's impossible. And that's normal, that's fine. We don't need to try to get rid of the doubt or the resistance. Just notice that it's there. And continue offering the phrases of joy. May I enjoy the activities of life itself. May I enjoy things just as they are. May I experience the world taking joy in all that I do. May I know what to do, whatever arises. And again, noticing the resistances that might be there. Just gently placing those to one side. Not trying to figure them out or analyze them. And noticing too any feelings of joy, of wonder or awe or curiosity that may arise with the phrases. Really savoring any quality of joy or curiosity, wonder or awe. Really going into that for a moment, really nourishing the nervous system. You might wish to imagine or visualize your body as a huge sponge, soaking in that warmth of joy just to the surface of the skin. What would that feel like if there was this quality of joy kind of saturating into the surface of the skin, all over the body? And then imagining, as a thought experiment, what would it feel like if that joy soaked in all over the body, into the muscles and tendons, all over the body, drenching the body. This warmth, this smiling energy of joy. If you're not feeling that, that's okay. You can imagine what it would feel like. And then imagining, again, as an experiment, what would it feel like if that joy saturated our entire being, all the way to the marrow of the bones? There's nothing left but this quality of joy. And if it's helpful, you might imagine or visualize every cell in your body smiling, rejoicing, sharing. What might that feel like if every cell in your body started smiling? So in a few moments' time, we'll begin to shift away from the guided meditation and back into a conversational space. I'll cue that by ringing the bell 3 times. So thank you all for joining me in that guided meditation. I hope you all enjoyed that as much as I did. I really needed that this morning, so thank you for that. So let's talk about those phrases, and these are phrases that I received from my teacher in 2004, Ken MacLeod, really wonderful Tibetan teacher. If you don't know Ken MacLeod's work, I strongly recommend checking him out. By the way, his website is www.unfetteredmind.org. He does really, I just can't say enough amazing and wonderful things about Ken. So, and these phrases I adopted from him 20 years ago now. Yeah, so the first one, may I enjoy the activities of life itself. And you know, if you'd like, you can really kind of stay in kind of a meditative state as we talk through these phrases. That's what I'll be doing. And so I recall when I first started working with that first phrase, may I enjoy the activities of life itself. This really felt like, you know, all of the activities that what I consider I would engage in. Making coffee, playing with my cat, giving talks, meditating, going to work. And all of that is, these are the activities of life itself. But the more I started working with that phrase, the more I started to go a little bit deeper into the biology of life itself. The activities of life, not me, my life, but life. The activities of life itself. In which I am, of course, intimately connected to because I'm alive. But this is really referring to the activity, for me, this is how I've come to understand it currently, the activity of the wind blowing through the trees, the activity of color, light landing in the retinas and sending and projecting images to my brain. Wow. the sheer potential of it all. And so right away, this quality of awe comes up, right? It's so big. May I enjoy the activities of life itself. I mean, this is enjoying the activity of the universe expanding moment by moment. The activity of the sun, the miracle of the sun that warms the earth, that allows us to live and breathe. The activity of eating and drinking, and of the blood pulsating through the bodies. The activities of intelligence communicating with each other verbally and non-verbally. The activities of falling in love. The activities of gazing at a flower. And I enjoy the activities of life itself. To bring it back to the simplicity, the very simplicity, the texture of life, the sound of life, the touch of life. Whew. Because, I don't know about you all, but for me, we very often, let's say I very often can get lost in the content of life, and I lose the context. Right? I think most people fall susceptible to that. We don't like that that happened, but we wish this would happen, and that shouldn't be happening, and all the rest of it. Right? That's all the content. The context is the very frame of life itself, the frame of this experience. May I enjoy the activities. May I enjoy the context of life itself. And from there, we can become resilient enough to enjoy the content, even when the content is neutral and boring, or even when the content is unpleasant. There's still this gratitude of, thank God I'm alive. At least I can have this experience too. It doesn't start there. You're right, we're setting the bar very high. Right? And one way of working with that and starting to see this is to nourish ourselves in the activities, in the aspects of life that we already enjoy. Going for a walk in the park, playing with a cat or a dog, spending time in nature or with family, meditating, drawing, art, creating art, whatever it is that you enjoy. See, very often we go through the activities that we enjoy and we take it in, yeah, this is nice, this is lovely, but as soon as it's over, we kind of move on to the next thing. And so one of the things I introduced in that opening practice is savoring the joy. Right? Going into that feeling of joy and inviting it in to soak into the body. Right? This is available for us all of the time. And so when we're doing something that we enjoy, to really, I like the question, how do I know I am enjoying this? I know I'm enjoying this, but how do I know? Where's that felt somatic experience? And then we can anchor our awareness into that experience. Then each experience, each joyful moment becomes a resource for resilience and strength. And so we nourish ourselves in the experiences that we already know we enjoy. And then from that nourishment, we can more easily engage in the challenging experiences, finding that silver lining there. What is it about this that can be joyful? We have a challenging experience at work, for example, and in that moment, there's very little joy there, you know. But after, oh, I really learned something from that. There's the joy. There's joy in learning. There's joy in growing. There's joy in evolving. It feels good, right? Okay. Enjoying the activities of life itself. And the second phrase, may I enjoy things just as they are. This is, again, for me, these two phrases are very connected. May I enjoy things just as they are. Not needing to change anything or modify. It's really an invitation to be mindful, to connect to the present moment. I enjoy things just as they are. Even if I'm late to the meeting, stuck in traffic, oh, where do I find the joy there? Is this an opportunity to be compassionate? Ooh, this is tough right now. I'm going to be late. And there is joy in that. The fact that the recognition that I can hold myself and meet myself with compassion, that recognition is joyful. How lovely. May I enjoy things just as they are. May I experience the world taking joy in all that I do. This is where I get the most resistance. This is such an interesting phrase. May I experience the world taking joy in all that I do. Because right there, the inner critic just rears its head and says, what are you talking about? That'll never happen. Yeah. And that's fine. The resistance is normal. And then so we can just start to explore, well, what would life actually feel like if we could experience the world taking joy in all that we do? And then paying attention to that inner critic. This is where ethics comes into play around these practices. If it's really challenging to experience the world taking joy in all that I do, well, what am I doing that's not able to be seen in that light? Can I see it in that light? Maybe. And if I can't, what do I need to do? What adjustments could be made so that the world could more easily rejoice in my activities? And this, brings up a whole topic of sila. Sila is Sanskrit, Pali. It translates roughly into ethics or morality or virtue in the Buddhist tradition. And the way ethics is taught in this tradition, and something I very, very much appreciate about this tradition, is that it's always situational. There's no set of rules or commandments that we're meant to follow. And so phrases like that help us to connect to that place in the heart that can guide us moment to moment through our life, situationally. May I experience the world taking joy in all that I do. Hmm. And that last phrase, so lovely. May I know what to do, whatever arises. May I know what to do, whatever arises. This is really, I think, for me, speaking to that, the joy of clarity of mind and heart, clear seeing, clear seeing. I know what to do, whatever arises. Again, pointing to that very, very present moment situational ethic. May I meet this present moment skillfully. Maybe another way to reframe that. May I know what to do, whatever arises. And again, as a thought experiment, what would life, what would life be like if we could really meet life in that way? May I know what to do, whatever arises. There's no confusion there anymore. It's clear, clear in the heart, clear in the mind. And so if you are coming to the online program, October 1st to December 21st, I hope you can make it. We'll be spending a few weeks really exploring these phrases in a very deep way. And, we don't only offer them to our own heart. And so if you'd like, if you're noticing maybe a lot of resistance, let's go with the third one because that's where I get a lot of resistance. May I experience the world taking joy in all that I do. So if you might explore if that's there, maybe your heart completely closes to that phrase. That's how mine was for quite a long time. Just filled with doubt, filled with doubt. So what I did, and then what I'm inviting here for us to explore, maybe offering it to a loved one. You know, we can imagine or visualize a good friend or a family member or a pet. May you experience the world taking joy in all that you do. And for me, already, I started chuckling there. It's just so much easier, I really would love for my cat to experience the world taking joy in all that she does, for example, or my family members. How wonderful if they could have that experience. But then why aren't I deserving of that experience, right? And so we can start to really work with the resistances in that way. Or you might offer the phrase to someone you don't know. How lovely for this stranger in front of me to have the experience of the world enjoying everything they do. Why not? Why not? Yeah, so there are ways of entering into the phrases, and for the other phrases too, you can offer to other people and see how that changes the experience. And the way I was introduced to the Brahma Viharas, the four abodes that we're working with here, kindness, compassion, joy, and equanimity, when senior teacher Mr. McLeod, Ken, offered me these. We did 3 months of kindness, 3 months of compassion, 3 months of joy, and 3 months of equanimity. And so and this is how I was introduced to it. Traditionally, it's done. You spend a couple of weeks working with yourself, a couple of weeks working with loved ones, a couple of weeks working with strangers, with people we don't like, and then with the entire world, like that. And so each time you go, because our relationship to ourselves is different to the relationship to our loved ones, different to the relationship with people we don't know, so forth. So the flavor of the phrases changes. And so it's quite lovely. You get different hues, different qualities of joy to work with. And so we, naturally go through our life, there's aspects of our life that it's quite easy to find joy in. For at least I hope for most people, there's at least one or two aspects of life that we can find some pleasure in, some joy. Right? And then there may be huge portions of our life that we ignore, the neutral aspects of our life, and then some aspects of our life that we don't like very much. And so we start with the aspects of life that we enjoy naturally, right? We can rest there. And then we start to and we use those aspects of our life as ground, resilience, strength, nourishment. And then we kind of tiptoe into the neutral areas and the places of our life that we would like to change, and then to the displeasing areas of our life. And we just start to kind of, the process of befriending ourselves. So one could see this practice as, acknowledging the areas of ourselves we've already befriended, finding nourishment in those friends, and then making friends with the rest of us. Like that. Making friends with our life. So I want to read a poem here, and I posted this on Facebook, and I was a little bit in a rush getting to that's why I was a little late actually too, and I apologize for that if people were waiting. But let me find the poem here on my screen, and then I'll just read this poem as a way of closing us out. By the way, I did post on social media too that an invitation for people to enter into a wholesome and loving debate. Things are getting very, it's been very divided politically in America for years now, but particularly with the elections coming up and everything. So, if you feel your views are different than mine, and that's natural, there's 8 billion people in the world, we're going to have differing views, and you'd like to enter into a healthy discussion around those views, please, please, please reach out, and we can have a lovely conversation, and really trying to meet at the level of what our needs and values are. So I just wanted to throw that out there. Please do reach out if you'd like to debate. Okay, here's the poem. This is from Jack Gilbert. Really lovely poem here. If we deny our happiness and resist our satisfaction, we deny and trivialize their suffering and deprivation. We must have the stubbornness to enjoy the pleasures within the furnace of the suffering of this world. To make injustice the only measure of our attention is to praise the devil. We must have the stubbornness to enjoy the pleasures within the furnace of the suffering of this world. To make injustice the only measure of our attention is to praise the devil. So just to speak to that a moment, and then we'll wrap up. I often, particularly when I run courses on joy or give teachings on joy, people will ask me, but, I just turn on the news and there's so much suffering in the world. How can I possibly take pleasure in these little things in life when there's so much suffering in the world. And I get it, man. I mean, it's true, it's easy to get, you swept into that suffering when we turn on the news or whatever. And again, I gave a talk about this on compassion a few days ago. But we can look at it in kind of a different frame, perhaps. Maybe we can look at it in such a light that the people who are suffering in the world, they're going to be suffering. There's going to be suffering in the world, whether I enjoy this movie or not, whether I enjoy playing with my cat or not, whether I take that walk in the garden or not. Right? My joy has very little, it doesn't weigh in on the suffering of the world, except in the positive. Right? Because the more joy there is in the world, the more that ripples out and spreads. Right? So there's very little influence except in the positive. If you, and I do, believe in the butterfly effect, right? The idea that a butterfly flaps its wings in Costa Rica and a year later there's a tornado in France. That ripple effect of energy. Right? So if anything, we're helping by going to see that movie, by, having that walk on the beach, by playing with our pet. Right? We're creating a little bit more friendliness in the world. So I want to thank you all again for tuning in. Again, I've gone much longer than I'd hoped or anticipated, but hey, I get going and I just love talking about this stuff so much. So I hope it's helpful for you all, and I hope to see you here or there. By the way, if there are any questions about any of this material, I will be hosting a Q&A Facebook Live very soon. Next Facebook Live session will be on equanimity. And then the one after that, probably a week from now, I'll be doing a live Q&A session. So if you have any questions, please do send them in. Just notice how unironed my shirt is. That's a little disconcerting. But hey, I'm taking joy in all of the activities of life itself, including the need to iron. Have a great weekend, and I look forward to seeing you all next time. I'll ring the bell to close us out. Thank you all.